Hey guys, welcome to the TOWTalk podcast live stream. What's going on? It is Tuesday. Hooray for Tuesday. And guess what else today is? Today is the official start of pumpkin spice latte season. Yes, I got my shirt. Pumpkin.
Please kill me. Please kill me. Somebody.
It's PSL. Come on. And it started for both Starbucks and for Dunkin' Donuts. So anyway,
enough. I can't. No.
Why?
I
This
just
is
can't.
awesome.
The pumpkin spice thing.
I love it.
Oh my god! Like it's so bad. Like I just can't anymore. I just can't. We get to the fall. Everybody talks about pumpkin spice. I don't fucking get it. I don't get it. I'll never get it. It just I don't understand it. You know, I don't understand how it's such a like. This is what what our society has come down to. Like, is
Yes.
this it? Is this really it? Right? Like, we have nothing else in this world other than pumpkin spice. Like that's what we have to look forward to every year. Like that's the only thing.
No. Come on.
But that's the way everybody acts. Like it's like, oh my god. You know?
I know, but I love pumpkin spice latte. Almond milk, no whip, extra double shot.
It's funny. Everybody was bashing, right? There was a woman running for governor out in Wisconsin, and she had talked about the idea maybe we should rethink Thanksgiving, right? Maybe that's not a holiday we need to have anymore, right? And we should really think about something else, right? The excitement that you and everybody else gets into, right, about pumpkin spice, okay, you don't see around Thanksgiving anymore, right? Like people don't get excited around Thanksgiving anymore.
Well,
it used to be a thing, but it's just
I don't know. I think
like,
some people get excited about it. I mean, definitely if you're into football.
but it's not like it's not like it was. It's not like it was. I mean, like back in the day, yeah, it used to be like you used to get together with family and you used to watch a football game and you used to really and it used to be like a family affair. I remember every year going over to my aunt and uncle's house, right? We would watch the games, we would watch King Kong, right? Like cuz King Kong was always playing on Thanksgiving. But those traditions have now changed. They're not the same anymore, right? Like as much as we might have nostalgia for what it was, right? You can't tell me that it's the same today. You just can't.
I think
Like
so.
things
Yeah,
are
I
just
agree with that.
different, right? Like things are different.
I'm going to say this. I think our devices like these have kind of disconnected us, right? I mean, we don't even like okay, this thing here is not a text device. It's a fucking telephone, and people don't call each other. Like nobody calls. And it's it's used for watching media and keeping you entertained and texting each other. I mean, people will you go to a restaurant and you sit down at the restaurant and you look at the people around you and they are all down looking at their phones. I'm guilty of that too, by the way, but they're not talking to each other. They're sitting right there, not talking to each other. They're looking at their phones. If anything, they're texting each other.
And what is like football become really? Like let's be honest, what has football really become? Back when I was a kid, you sat in front of the TV and you watched a football game. Okay?
Yes.
And that's what it was. It was the Dallas Cowboys and Detroit Lions. And you watched a football game. Okay? But now it's like you're sitting there, like either you have a fantasy sports team and you're looking to see, your lineup for the week, and you're trying to figure out how your team's going to do, and you're like looking at free agents, and you like you're constantly at your phone, or maybe you're gambling on the game, right? Because now sports betting is like now a part of everyday life, brought to you by this betting agency and this betting company. And
It's
hey, this is the
crazy.
TOWTalk podcast, and we're brought to you by some gambling addiction that you may have. Like
DraftKings.
right. I mean,
StubHub.
but
Is that still
it's
around?
I don't know, but it's become just like it's not the same. Like we're not connected to each other. We're not connected to our communities anymore, right? I mean, everything we're seeing, the reason why politics has gotten the way it is because we are stuck on our phones. We're stuck in front of a computer. We're not interacting with our community. We used to know who our neighbors were. We used to, I remember, all the neighborhood kids would be playing out in the street, and we
Yeah.
would be building forts and all that kind of stuff. And now it's just like, everything is different. The world
Yeah.
is different, and I get the nostalgia of wanting to go backwards, but we have to understand this is the world we live in. We have to figure out a way to make it better.
Yes. Absolutely. And to that point, we have to take time to put our devices down. Let me ask people here that people are still sort of trickling in, but do you have any kind of like rules at home with devices, like maybe at dinner time, put your phones down, or something like that, which is probably something that I should do too, but I never do. We never do. Um, but if you have any kind of
Right.
device, rules about that, or having devices at the kitchen table, or maybe, you take a point during the day that you don't look at them. Um, do you have any kind of rules about like that? Um, I think so many of us, myself included, don't make those rules, and we should. And we should get out into the community and meet our neighbors, go out for a walk. And when you see people out there, shake their hands, talk to them. Yes, I know, not in your house. I know, me too. But shake your neighbors' hands and get to know them. You'd be surprised. I mean, I went walking my dog a few days ago, and I went, like, I don't know, 3, 4 houses down, and there was a guy mowing his lawn whom I never met before. And he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" I was like, "Hi," and he was just mowing his lawn, and I'm like, "I've never met this person, and I've lived on this street for, my god, over 30 years." Like, I don't know when this person moved into the neighborhood or whatnot, so, yeah.
You know, I- as a councilman in this community, right, in the community that we live in, I'm gonna say probably about 60 to 70% of the complaints that people came to me with were with regard to a dispute with their neighbor.
Yeah.
Like, and you think it's funny, right? And you laugh, but like everybody moves to the suburbs for their own reasons.
Yes.
Okay. And some people want quiet. Some people want, a more country atmosphere. Some people want a lot of acreage. Some people want small acreage, but they want to own something for themselves. Some people want to have parties every weekend with their friends and invite their friends over and have community, with the people that they grew up with or whatever it may be. Some people just want to be left alone and be more isolationist. And what I found is you don't always have a choice of who your neighbor is, you know?
Yeah,
And
good point.
I know.
That's why they
And
build
Marty's like, yeah,
fences.
that's why we build fences. But even fences, like sometimes, right? Because there would be one neighbor who is retired and maybe they want quiet, right? And their neighbor right behind them is, they're retired, but they want to have a party every weekend because they want to have their friends over. So they invite their friends and they and they build
Make
themselves a
music.
nice outdoor
Yeah.
sound system so that they can have nice music and listen to music on the weekends, and they have a pool and all that kind of stuff, right? Well, if you're trying to nap in the afternoon and your neighbor's being, wild and yelling and screaming, or maybe they're going late into the evening with their partying, I mean, it become a nuisance to your neighbor.
Yeah.
And how do you mitigate those situations, right? Like as a council person, as a neighbor, as somebody living in the community, you both have a right to your own property, and you both have a right to use that property as you see fit in the way that you had envisioned, right? To live that American dream. So, I'm curious as to what people think, but I think a lot of it really comes down to the idea that people aren't taking the time to get to know their neighbors, right?
Yes.
They're not talking with their neighbors. Like, I've talked to all these people. I hear their motivations, right? And I can definitely see common ground, but I cannot force that common ground onto two parties. You know what I'm saying? They have to come to that themselves. And so I just think a lot of what we're seeing in the media and everything else is just fake, right? We all want the same things, right? But they're trying to manipulate us, right? into
Oh
into
yeah.
believing what they believe, right? There was this thing on Fox News this weekend. They had the Senate candidate from Michigan online. I don't know how many people saw
Ab-
this
A- Abdul Syed.
interview. Abdul Sayed, yes. Again with Jennings, the anchor there, and you know he's asking Jennings, the reporter, is asking um about trans kids, right? Tran, you know, and it like there are so many issues that we are dealing with. High energy costs, housing costs, um, you know, gas
Food.
prices, food, energy. Like food from a standpoint, like now our food isn't even edible, right? Like it was
Oh my
before, it
God.
was just going up in price. Now it's just like unedible. Like we actually have real this is part of the issue, right? And I think me and Denise wanted to talk about this, but this gets into the issue of what is the conversation that we are having as a community, right? Like, first of all, get out of my fucking doctor's office, right? Like, get out of the doctor's office. I don't want you there. I don't want you there making decisions about vaccines for my kid, just as much as I don't want you there making decisions about what my kid's medical needs are. Okay? Because everybody keeps talking about everybody wants to have this conversation about gender affirming care, right? Well, if you're going through menopause, right? Any woman who's going through menopause or has been through menopause knows that you go through gender affirming care. Okay? Like that's what it is. That's what the hormones they give you are. And the Republicans want to ban that. Okay? Let's remember they want to ban that. Just like if you're a child and you're a girl going through puberty, or you're a girl that may have, any number of women's issues, and I'm not going to get into all of them here, right? You may need hormone therapy, okay, to make your life manageable, okay?
Yes.
If you have ever been a parent who's been with a child who's been through that, right? That's gender affirming care. That's the care they don't want your kid to have, okay? They're going to say, no, 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 no. We will. No, that's what they're looking to do. Okay, because
Unless of
that's
cour
what.
Yeah, unless of course you're
Sorry.
in the military. Yeah, that they're, giving testosterone to soldiers is gender affirming care, whether or not they need it.
And but I think this gets into what are the conversations that we're actually having. Like, who gives a shit, right? What sport any kid fucking plays. You're a kid playing a fucking sport. Many of the schools in this nation may not even have women's teams. So women do play for men's teams. It happens all over this country. Okay? Right? Like, what the fuck conversation are we having, and why is it even part of the conversation? Right? There are real problems in this country, and I did not think that that was an appropriate question. And El Sayed's response was great. Like, have you had a circumcision? Right? Like, I mean, it's a stupid question because you asked a stupid question.
So you got a
Okay,
stupid
you,
answer. Yeah.
so you got a stupid answer, right? Here's what I'm talking about though. Like whether it be local politics or future politics, it's everybody's trying to frame a narrative, okay, and not necessarily talking about the real issues, okay? Just like we talk about all the time in this town. This town has real issues, okay?
Yeah.
Real issues. All right, not for nothing. The loss of the bond rating, okay, I cannot stress enough how when you lose your bond rating, you lose the ability to do large infrastructure projects, which this town needs, okay? Okay. So this idea that you get right, oh, first it was I'm going to fix all the past problems and then I don't want to talk about all the past problems, right? This is a typical Republican thing, right? We see this all the time at the national level, right? Blame the other side for whatever problem is being caused until it gets pushed back on you, and then it says, well, we don't want to talk about that, we just want to move forward. How many
Ac-
times have we heard that?
oh yeah. Accuse your opponent of the things you are doing while you are doing them.
Right.
So accusations in a mirror. Um, but and we do. We have these problems, and it seems that the other side, and maybe not so much here in the town, but definitely across the board, just as in the conversation with El Sayed, the focus is on culture wars and culture things that ultimately do not impact you, but the cost of food impacts you. The cost of housing impacts you. You know, whether or not you're going to be able to get to work because we may or may not run out of gas in the next few weeks, in the next 45 days. You know, those are things that affect you, not whether or not, someone does or doesn't get gender affirming care or that kind of stuff. That's the distraction. If you watched our latest video, I even mentioned about distraction. I mean, distraction is the key. Keeping you distracted, throwing a lot of shit at you, flooding the zone with all kind of stuff, except the things that really, really, really matter, is what they do. But what's happening more and more is that the fact is people are not able to pay their bills, right? I saw, and this is another thing that plays to it. Um, I was watching Romano, the Romano podcast. He's really good, little nutty, but he's good. I saw that there was a study done that roughly one third of this country is not working, is not in the workforce. Either they've been unemployed for so long and simply dropped. Some have been pushed out, taken buyouts. Even a friend of mine, I just spoke to a friend that I hadn't spoken to in a few months, said that her wife took a buyout, and so now she is officially retired and is trying to find something else to do, and it's not that easy. So roughly, I think they said out of 340 million people in this country, like 103 of them are not working. That's a lot of people. That's nearly a third of this country. I mean, and obviously, if you take kids out and seniors who can't work, it's still a large segment of the population that are not even engaged in working because they can't find work. And that's an issue that should be spoken about, but we're stuck on culture issues and spreading little clips that you know send deceptive messages than really focusing on facts. And so that's kind of a little bit about what we want to talk about today. Right, Neil?
Well, I think that that brings up, right, like, I mean, you sort of look across the country and you look in our town, right? Businesses are closing. Okay. They're consolidating, they're closing. You're getting warehouse jobs which provide construction jobs, but they're temporary. So the long-term jobs aren't there. Okay. And what ends up happening is you have to be able to provide a culture, right, in your local community, all right, that allows for that development. You have to understand and be able to work with businesses to be able to bring in good solid businesses that are going to help create jobs that bring people to community who pay taxes, right? It's like the formula. The formula isn't hard, okay? As the supervisor stated, right, when we had him on the podcast last week, okay, this town had been closed for business for like 4 years,
Wow.
okay, due to moratoriums, due to master plans, due to the fact that board members didn't, only wanted their developers to be able to develop in our community, right? Like it's been like this nonsense game.
Yes.
Okay. And what we really need is we really need a solid plan. And the supervisor, Frank Dendanto, has a plan, right? Like we've heard his plan. He does have a future in mind, right, for this town. And it's a good future, right? Like he's looked at the entire town, right? He didn't just take one little part of it. He didn't do what these guys did, which was just shut everybody down or try to zone for like certain areas, like spot zoning and stuff like that, right? But here's the thing, they were all kind of like benefiting from that type of environment. So they want to bring it back, right? Like, when you're a political party and that's sort of you're getting something, then you want that to continue. And I
Yes.
think that we just like we have to stop that. We like there's nothing wrong with being a good administrator, right? Like there's nothing wrong with going out and making sure that the books are good, that the town has an ability to borrow, that the infrastructure is being maintained, okay? That the employees are doing their job, okay? There's nothing wrong with that, okay? But that's not the way it was for 4 years in this town. And these guys are saying, don't look back. We don't want to look back anymore. We just want to go forward. Well, of course you don't want to look back. You fucked everything up in the first place. you know, it's sort of like, yeah, we messed everything up for decades, but you know what? Give us another chance. We're happy to do it again. We got a $4 million bailout from every taxpayer in this state, right? Do you
Yeah.
know how embarrassing that should be to everybody, right? Like you got bailed out by everybody else, right? You should be going out of your house, going into your neighboring communities and thanking them, right? That your taxes aren't going to go up next year as much as the supervisor had stated. Okay? Because at this point in time, right, you're lucky. You're making it through the year at least. Okay?
Yeah.
The doors aren't going to be closed. Okay? And then next year, well, I don't know what next year is going to bring, but you know what? You got stuck with a $3 million budget deficit. Okay?
Yeah.
That has to be made up for. Okay? And you may say, well, the federal government can do unbalanced budgets. They can do deficit spending. Towns can't do deficit spending.
Yeah,
And
you
as
don't
much
have
as
the
you
deep
right,
ability to do that.
well, we're not allowed to do that. And if we do, we're spending our own money. We're spending savings, which is what they did for all those years. Like that's what I don't understand, right? Like you got a nice tax break for all those years that they decided to spend your savings. Now your savings is depleted. What do you do next?
Yeah. Now
Like
you don't have that money to fall back on. It's gone.
right. You'll end up getting, as Marty stated, you'll end up getting the same results. You get the same people, you're gonna get the same results. Because
There it is.
it's not a you know, and you got to remember something. It is your taxes. It is your property taxes. Okay? Right? It's your income taxes. They used income tax money to bail property tax owners out in this town. Think about that.
Wow.
Think about that. All right. They used income tax money to bail the property tax owners in this town because management of this town was so horrible, okay, that 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 they didn't tax the community appropriately,
Right.
okay? And then you're going to turn around and say it's the fault of the current guy who's trying to fix it that got you the bailout,
Yes.
right? You know what? I got nothing to say to you people if that's the way you feel, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody
Because
here feels that
that
way.
that that, that honestly makes me sick. That honestly makes me sick in every way, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, I think the problem is that a lot of people really and I think more people are starting to get engaged now. More people are really getting involved in politics just because of what the way things are right now, and they're learning about their town and what's going on in their town. And for some people, it's pretty eye opening. But I'm seeing more people starting to get more engaged. Um, if anything, the Jill Wilkins campaign has been putting signs up all over the community. People are it sort of it wakes people up to see, well, what really is going on in your town? What's going on in your backyard? And this is what happened. These people, the previous administration, and many of them support Jill. Uh, they ran the town into the ground. And so Frank is digging us out, and one of his biggest successes was that $4 million bailout. But just like Neil said, that comes out of the pockets of the New York State taxpayer to cover us. So we should thank everybody in New York, including ourselves, because I guess our paid that too. But we also pay property tax here, and we pay state income tax, just like you said. So
It it's I just find it really disingenuous of people not to like, you know, it's one thing, right? This is your community, okay? Right? Like it's ours, and we can make it what we want, and we could all work together towards the same goal, okay? And all pat each other on the back for our wins and be critical of our losses, okay? And and that's the way it should be. And we should call each other out when things occur. Like, we should absolutely call each other out. If somebody does something wrong or doesn't do something the way that they're supposed to be doing, that's how we make it better. Like,
mhm.
I don't understand this nonsense of we, oh, we're not gonna do anything to make things better, right? Like, this has been the issue with politicians. This has been the overarching issue that we all have with politicians. Okay. Is this idea that we aren't going to hold politicians accountable, that it's just about moving forward and don't worry about the past. Yeah, they screwed it up, but we're not going to fix it. So let's just keep moving forward exactly the way it was.
No,
Okay.
we want accountability. We want to hold people accountable for the shit they do.
And
I
what's happening in New York City right now, though? Right? You have an administrator. This isn't communism, right? Like, he's actually just doing the job. He's filling in potholes. He's fixing bridges. He's building affordable housing, right? Like, all things that's what government's actually supposed to do. And everybody's shocked that he's doing it. And
Yes,
now
I
all of a
know.
sudden, right? And now all of a sudden we actually have a town supervisor who's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and we have the opponents going, no, 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 but that's not what we want to do. that's not
Eh,
that's not what he's supposed to be doing, right? It's the same thing, and it's all levels. Enough.
yes, Fran makes a really interesting point. If the town fails to get their finances in line, the state can appoint a finance manager who will take control slash manage the town. Interesting. Maybe that's do you think that might be the reason why the Serrano administration tried to conceal so much? They didn't want the state to come in?
I think they just wanted to get reelected and they wanted the power and they wanted the pats on the back that they were doing a great job.
Oh.
I mean,
All right.
listen, I had, I had heard, I had spoken to the state comptroller's office when I was a councilman, before everything kind of blew up. And they just said they said the same thing to me, they just weren't getting all the information timely, that they were getting kind of like railroaded on stuff. They
Yeah,
would ask for
stonewalled, really.
something and then right, yeah, and that was just kind of the way things were rolling out, you know. But they did come up with a draft report, and the draft report was pretty freaking scathing, you know. And it's not unlike some of the reports we're seeing out of the federal government right now that we're seeing, right? With the jobs report, with everything else, we're kind of seeing the same thing,
Yes.
that just we're not we have decided that politics is a game show, okay? All right. And everything is just performative and we just want to see good TV.
Yes, yeah, we wanna be entertained. We don't really
Right.
want policy, we just wanna be entertained. How does that make you guys feel? No, of course we want policy. It shouldn't be entertainers. This is,
But that's all it is. It's performative,
yeah,
right? Tax cuts always get passed, but then anytime anything from the left wants to get passed, no, we're not going to do that. And then anytime something from the right wants to get passed, we don't know we're going to pass it unless they could somehow sneak it through, right? They give us some law, right, that they could sell to us and say, "Oh, but this is for your protection." Right?
it's protection, like flock cameras.
That's how they were sold it. Did you see there was an article out today about flat cameras in Newburgh, believe it or not.
Oh, no,
There
I
was
didn't
an
see that
article
article.
Yeah, there was an article published by one of the councilmen in Newburgh, right, who voted against the resolution that came up to deflock, right? But he said he's against the flock cameras, and he walked through what the contract says, how the flock cameras ended up getting approved, and the these cameras got approved exactly the same way in every single municipality. Okay, the federal government came in and offered a Justice Department grant for the full amount for the full cost of the cameras, right?
Oh, you're gonna get
So it
free
costs the
cameras.
tax so it costs the taxpayer no money, okay? Right? So federal government comes in, they offer you $100,000. In Newburgh case, I think it was like 1.7 million or whatever, right? To put cameras, right? They said the board says we'll accept the grant. We want to go for the grant. We give the authority for the governing body to sign off on the grant when we get the grant, right? Once the grant comes in, since they already have the authority to use the grant because now you've applied for it, they go out and they buy the flock cameras. And your police department does that because your police department, right? Like they want that stuff. They want the cameras. They want the surveillance. They're not the ones being surveilled. They know that they're not the ones being surveilled, so they want the cameras. Okay?
Yeah, but
So that's happening in every community across the nation. The federal government is offering you free money to buy cameras.
yeah,
And every
and
community looks at it as safety.
yeah, yeah, safety is safe. You know what? And I said this, and I've said this before. You want to make your town safe? Provide good opportunities for affordable housing, jobs. That's the kind of security when people
Transportation.
don't transportation, ways to get around, um, affordable food, good community, the treating your community well. The thing is if people aren't struggling or starving, they're less likely to commit crimes. I mean, that's where these crimes come from. And so instead, we have a federal government here that is killing our food, killing the air, killing destroying the water, putting up data centers everywhere that aren't going to actually employ people because they're data centers. They run on AI, and people are hungry. We have Indiana. Is Did Indiana get their lights yet? I mean, they've been
No.
without electricity for like 2 weeks.
But
That's horrible.
just as you said, transportation, right? Like, you don't have to go any further than this county. Okay? Every year we've been hearing about how much money, right, that the supervisor has in his, or not the supervisor, the county
Executive.
executive has, right? The county executive has in this fund, right? Like, I think it's up to like 27 million or whatever it is, right? Like, it's some astronomical amount of money that he's sitting on. Okay. I mean, he could have, like, you think about it, for the 13 years he's been in office, why haven't why hasn't more been done with transportation? This community in Orange County has grown, right? We have a lot more seniors in this community. Why has there been no investment in transportation? Okay.
Good
If
question.
you think about all the opportunities that have been missed, right, as a result of the lack of transportation. And when I say opportunities, we are not that far from New York City. We are not that far from Albany, right? We could have been a tech hub in Orange County. We could have been we could have been like the had IBM complex. Like, we could have done so much more with tech industry, okay, in Orange County, had we had more transportation,
Mm,
okay? And you know, when businesses look to come to an area, right? They look at your workforce, they look at your transportation, and they look at your housing. Those are the three criteria that businesses look for. Okay. And why did they look for those things? Okay. Fairly simple. Do you have a place for their employees to live? Do you have a way to get their employees to
to
work and back home again? Right. You know, I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. It's not
Yep,
that hard to
right.
figure out.
And that, to that point, um, Frank here in the town is looking to develop the land owned by Walmart. That plot over in, I guess it's next to Bloomingburg, not far from where the Teak and V Diner. What is it? The Quickway Diner.
Right.
I know
Right.
Teak and V, right?
Right.
It's not far from there, and that land has been owned by Walmart for a long period of time, and now it looks like it might be developed into a fulfillment center that will actually create jobs. To so I The number I'm hearing is around 1,000. I don't know if that's for sure or not, but it's going to create jobs and not just be another empty warehouse just sitting there, just sitting around waiting for tenants.
As I said, like, you could be against everything, but the world is moving forward, okay? And the fact is with the changing world, if you want to not have to pay a fortune of money in property taxes, you have to continue to grow your community, right? I'm gonna keep saying it, okay? You have a valuation, right, for your town that the taxes are assessed on. It's a taxable assessed value, okay, that your towns are based on, right? If that number is stagnant every year and your expenses are going up every year, that means everybody has to pay a higher share of taxes. Okay.
Yeah.
If your assessed value continues to grow and you're adding more commercial businesses, right, that don't drain off of your social services that you're providing, that your community provides, um, then that's a net win for you. Your taxes actually may either be the same or go down. Okay. That's why the town of Walkill has been able to maintain such a good tax base, is because they've been able to maintain its taxable assessed value by growing its community. Now we've sort of had some issues over the past few years, as I've talked about, right? You know, um, we've still grown, but not by as much as we probably could have.
Right.
But at the end of the day, right, like you still have to figure out, you can't just say we're going to become an isolationist community, build a wall and not allow anybody to develop in your community. It's just never going to happen. And not only that, the people who live here won't be able to live here long because they'll get priced out because taxes will go up so high, right? I mean, we have neighboring communities where taxes are astronomical because they're smaller communities, they're not growing as fast, they don't have the commercial businesses, and they still have to maintain their roads and everything else. What do you do? What do you do?
Need to find ways to attract people and now, let me ask you a question. When you do bring in that type of development, does that help to offset the property taxes of residents? Do they sort of take a large chunk,
It
pay a
it
large chunk?
it depends. It depends, right? Like, I mean, you got to remember, it's you're growing your tax base.
Right.
So and taxes get assessed based on, right, what your expenses are. Revenues minus expenses is sort of like, whatever's left over is what you get taxed. So there could be any number of reasons why your taxes might go up, might go down as a result of that mix. But as a general rule, I go by, your expenses are going up about 5% a year, 5 to 6% a year. I think inflation this year was 5%. So I think we may be even talking more this year. But your revenues are only going up by 1% a year. And that's revenues excluding your property taxes,
Right.
right? So if your expenses are going up 8% and your revenues went up 1%, that means your taxes are going to go up, right? It means staying under a cap is going to be very, very difficult unless you find other areas to cut. And a lot of these municipalities are running really, really lean. They
Yes.
have just enough to keep them going. In fact, in a lot of places, they may be even shorthanded because they want to keep taxes low. They don't want to raise taxes. But remember,
Yeah.
the best bang for your buck, right? Where your dollar goes the furthest is in your own community via property taxes, maintaining roads, building permits, right? Your building codes, your assessor's office, right? Your accounting office, your police department. That's where you're seeing the greatest return for your dollar.
Right. Okay. Well, there you go. Um, Let me move on a little bit to this. Just a couple of things. First of all, sad news today. I was really shocked when I came home to find out that Dolly Parton passed away. Very sort of unexpectedly. I saw that she had canceled her. I think she had a Las Vegas stint going on, and she had taken a break from it back in May, saying she was working on her health and no word as to what that condition was. I haven't been able to find anything, but I guess she didn't recover. So, you know, my heart goes out to her family and her friends, and we're gonna miss Dolly. She was she was a titan and just an absolute sweetheart. So, if you didn't know, because I only found out when I got home, yeah, that's the sad news of the day. Um,
And on a very, very strange and weird note, okay. I can't believe I'm even saying this, but um it is hurricane season in the Atlantic, and we are on the letter D. And what is the name of the hurricane in 2026? What's the D name?
they chose Dolly. Did they do it because of this, or this was already
No,
named?
it was already named. It was already named. We're on D, and Dolly is the next hurricane up in the Atlantic.
Oh, that's right, because they make these lists out ahead of time.
Like a year in advance, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, oh, how ironic is that? Wow.
Yeah, that's why I said it's really strange that I'm bringing that up, but it's a really strange coincidence that we are
My
on the
good.
letter D for hurricane season, and Dolly, passed away on the same day.
Oh my goodness. Um, wow. So, well, if you have any kind words for Dolly, just post them out here. I'll put them up on the the stream here. Um, other stuff going on. Okay, so I believe it was yesterday, or maybe it was Friday. Um, the Supreme Court, the supreme assholes of the of the court, uh, decided, was it yesterday, I believe, to allow, Trump's, mail-in voting scheme to go forward. And there's a lot of misinformation spreading about this. A lot of people think that he won. That's not what they did. So so they use this thing called the shadow docket. I'm sure we've all heard about this. Basically, they are writing opinions or giving temporary decisions without actually ruling on the merits of cases. That's pretty much what the shadow docket does. So in this case, what they ruled on was the injunction that had been put in place to block certain aspects of an executive order that Trump wrote or released months back, trying to basically get rid of, mail-in voting or get another scheme to get hold of voter rolls in the states. Basically, you have to be on an approved list, which of course it gets approved by the federal government, of voters, and that determines whether or not you're going to get a mail-in ballot. And, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I gotta be honest. I haven't really figured out how this scheme is gonna work, to be
It's
honest with
not.
you. It just because I mean the post office has been so bad. So bad. Like so bad. Like I cannot tell you how bad the post office has been, right? Like I don't even know whose mail they're delivering anymore. I don't know when they're delivering the mail. They're coming like 5 times a day, then you don't see them for a week. Like who knows what's going on with the post office, but somehow it's like the government, because the government can't get the voter rolls of the states, the federal government is going to create its own voter roll for the state, right? And then match a federal voter roll with a mail in ballot at the post office, right? Before it gets delivered. And it only gets delivered if the post office sees the name, right? On the ballot. But they got rid of all the electric sorting machines, right? Remember, like people seem to forget, like in the first Trump administration, they got rid of all the electric machines, right? Like this is why everybody's getting the wrong mail, right? I mean, like this is like craziness. Like I'm trying to figure out, like, how are they actually going to physically do this
Well, I don't think
in
they're
like a way? Like you laid off all the like the postal service, right? Like so they're already working with a right, with a skeleton crew. Okay, they don't have enough employees as it is. They don't have the sorting machines anymore, right? The electric sorting machines anymore,
that's
right? Like
funny.
what the hell? How are they going to do this? Like, are they going to actually, like, are they going to have people with lights and like be like holding up like pieces of paper and like mail and go, this person's not on this list, calling out names? Like I don't even understand how it's going to work.
Well, this sort of a little bit goes back to Doge, right? This was one of the departments that they wanted to break. That's what they did. They came in and broke things. They want to break the mail department, but now they want to use it as a backdoor way to get a hold of voter rolls, right? Allegedly, they want states to supply the post office with the lists now, as if that's never going to get to DHS, which is a crock of shit.
But that's
So
not
it's
what the
wildly
executive order
illegal.
says.
I
That's
know,
not
but
what the
it's
executive order says, though. The executive order says that the federal government will create the list. Okay. And that they're going to, because the states are refusing to give them the list and they can't compel the states to give a list. So what they're saying, but here, like, irrespective of all that, right? Here's what I actually think is going to happen, right? The part of the executive order that's like the worst part, right? And I think the one that's most unenforceable is the idea that, right, the law states that as long as it's postmarked as of election day, it gets counted, right? If it's postmarked after election day, it doesn't get counted, right? The two things within the executive order is that the post office doesn't have to stamp mail, right, when it reaches the office. That was the first part. And the second part of the executive order said that if the the absentee ballot is received after election day, it shouldn't be counted.
Right, but that was something that the Supreme Court did rule on, that wasn't, that you could still, because that there was a whole other thing regarding, and I think of it
Right,
was it last month?
right. So right. You're absolutely right. So the only one is the postmark. Okay. But my feeling is that they're going to hold all the ballots, right? All the absentee ballots. They'll just hold them. They'll stamp them all after election day and then they'll mail them. And then they'll just be like, oh, well, they were held up as we were, identifying, right? They're just going to say that they were held up while we were identifying, right? Whether they were valid. Because I don't really think there's a way for them to do it. So I think that they're just going to play a silly game, right? And it's
Well,
going to be
that's what they're
stupid.
doing. That's exactly
Right.
what they're doing. But what I wanted to just get back to the point, because a lot of people are panicking. Oh my God, all is lost, and that's it. The case is over, and Trump won. He's not. So just to understand, the way the court ruled, and it's twisted way, right? So the whole reason why people, attorneys filed and got this thing blocked is so that there would be no damage done. So people would get their ballots mailed to them. They could send their ballots back. So um, the Trump regime, they just asked for an appeal. That's what they do. They appeal to the Supreme Court on the grounds that the damage hasn't happened yet. Nobody's been damaged. So it's kind of a moot point. And so
I don't
that's where the
was that what
yeah,
they
yeah, so
I
what
thought
they're
it was
saying.
the fact that I thought it was the fact that judges weren't allowed to do nationwide injunctions anymore. I thought
Well,
that's what they were
that's a that's a separate thing. What they ruled on is that this case on mail-in ballots is not ripe, meaning the
right.
damage hasn't occurred yet, and therefore you don't have a claim yet. So now that this has been lifted, they are going to, I guess it's tomorrow, the next day, the post office is going to announce how they're going to implement this, which I think is number one, it's wildly illegal, but number two, I don't even think you can get any infrastructure in place to even do this without, just like you said, just taking the ballots and holding them, which again,
I think
wildly illegal.
I think
Um,
that that's what they're gonna do. That's my belief is that's the way it's gonna end up rolling out. Look, this administration has shown one thing: they are too incompetent to actually do anything the right way. Okay, I mean everything that they've done has been sheer incompetence.
yes.
Even the things that they've done right have been incompetently done, right? Like so, it'll just be another incompetent thing that they fall into. And I think it'll just be, we're just going to hold all the ballots because we can identify, right? I mean, that's going to be it. The post office can identify which ones are valid voters versus non-valid voters, right? I think that that's going to be their excuse. So we didn't deliver any of them. And
Right,
I think
right,
that's where they're going to go, you
right.
know?
But I think what's going to happen is once the announcements come forward as to how they're going to implement and what they're going to do and how they're going to do it, I think we will now see a whole new slew of um, of lawsuits to block it again based on whatever the post office comes out with. And so I think we'll still see this. They're still going to fight back. This fight isn't over yet. That's my point to all of this, because of course, you get on Fox and Fox is like Trump won, and no, no, no. We haven't even decided. We haven't even gotten to the merits of the case yet. We're just on the
But
injunction.
but do we like, just to kind of take things back? Don't we like all see, right? Like that nothing that's happening right now, right, has anything to do with impacting our lives. Has nothing to do with lowering the price of energy, lowering the price of electricity, lowering the price of food, making our food edible at this point in time, right?
My God, yeah.
Like healthcare, right? Like, I mean, at this point in time, nobody, you see these fights out there, but nobody's fighting for us. They're fighting to keep their power, right? Like both parties are sitting there having this fight to keep their power, and nobody is talking about what impacts us on a daily basis, right? The things that we're doing. And we see these fights in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court doesn't give a shit. Nobody gives a shit. This is like the slow march towards fascism. That's what they want to do, right? And they want to keep you preoccupied with either a culture war or this type of nonsense where we talk about mail-in ballots. Like it's going to make any type of difference, right?
Right.
In the outcome of the election,
Well,
right?
let's
Like,
let's talk about Jim. Jim made an interesting post here. So he believes it'll work because it will introduce confusion in the voting process. Some ballots will be challenged not because the voter was not eligible, but they were not on the post office list. Well, yeah, that's exactly it. And I think that's where the harm is, and I think that's the where they're going to, where we might see more litigations, more challenges to freeze this. Um, what happens again? Who knows? He runs back to the Supreme Court. They get it from their little shadow docket. They lift that too. So it's a back and forth, but ultimately they want to intimidate you, because for all the things that you're saying, Neil, and all the things that we want to improve, that's where the voting matters, right? And we got to put people in there that
but
can
does it?
bring about that
But
change.
does it? Does it?
Oh, we
Right,
got to
I
be we
mean,
got to be positive.
like I'm like we get told every 2 years or whatever the hell it is that an election is going to change our lives, right? And our lives keep getting worse, right? Because at the end of the day, the people that we're electing suck. Okay, that really hasn't changed much. Yeah, there are a couple of good ones out there, but for the most part, they suck. Okay, you know, and and I and you again, right? This is all performative. Okay, yes, it's to introduce confusion and chaos into our election cycle. It's so that we come to November and all of a sudden we're in court and we're fighting things out, and it delays the opportunity for us to actually have serious conversations about energy, about housing, about affordability, about the things that actually matter, right? And then December, the market's going to crash, okay? And then Democrats will get blamed because they're going to win anyway, and Democrats will get blamed. And then all of a sudden it'll be, well, our debt, it collapsed because of Democrats and our debt. And now we need austerity. So you're not going to get health care. And we can't do anything about, right? Like,
Oh
I'm
my God.
sorry. I can play out this entire, like, listen, you want me to? I have a green screen. I will create an entire play, okay, as to how this election will play out and how we will roll into January, okay? I will play this out for everybody, okay? And everybody can watch this video come January and say, wow, Neil was right. Holy shit. You know? And again, you have this conversation. It doesn't mean anything. I can tell you how this is going to play out. We have to start having Abdul Sayed, right? The guy who's running in Michigan has it right. We need to stop having these dumb conversations about all these like little things. And I'm sorry, I know that like this is we need to start actually talking about what's going to make our community safe. Okay? Not flock cameras. What actually things we need in our community to make our safe? We need good infrastructure. We need good jobs. We need transportation. We need to start having those conversations in our local community and asking why we're not getting those things. Okay? Right? Because I'm telling you right now, because you can already see the conversation shifting because Democrats are rolling in and everybody's now anticipating. You start hearing Republicans, oh my God, $40 trillion in debt. We have to watch the debt. We can't spend any money. Austerity, right? They started a war. They added $7 trillion to the deficit, right? Or to the debt. Okay. But we can't do anything Democrats want. We're not allowed to do infrastructure. We're not allowed to do housing. We're not allowed because we have to do austerity.
Got rid of SNAP benefits. They're going to cut Medicaid.
Right.
They're going to cut that. It ultimately impacts Medicare, particularly if you have people needing to be in a nursing home. That's Medicaid takes the nursing home end of that. So yeah, these are. But let me just let's just put a couple more of these folks had some comments here. So let's just address these comments. So Fran Meyer said they claim the plaintiffs didn't have standing because the electorate hasn't been hurt since the law isn't taking effect. Right. And that's what we talked about. And hopefully California will prevail. Let me see. Now, Eric Vasquez says California is going to revise their lawsuit to be more compliant and prudent to be enforceable now. Yeah, that's what I think. I think you're going to see a whole new slew of lawsuits that adjust to the response that came out by the Supreme Court. And yeah, yeah. So hopefully California will prevail. Marty says, Neil's laughing. So Marty says they already have the infrastructure in place to fuck with the ballots. Oh,
you haven't gotten to the one I read, which is great. Thanks, Jim.
Oh, shoot. Really? Get to there. Just not going to post my. Yeah. So we covered that. And Jim says the predictions of Neil Stradamus. Oh, that is the quote. That is the quote of the day. That is awesome. Neil Stradamus. We're gonna keep that. You know what? I'll have to make like a little AI of Neil.
Thanks,
As Nostradamus, then we're going to call him Neil Stradamus. Oh, I'm going to have that for you guys. Don't worry. Keep watching the Facebook channel. It's going up.
You guys, you can't tell me you can't see the corporate Democrats joining with the Republicans, talking about the debt, talking about how we can't spend money, talking about austerity, right? Saying we have to pay for a war, right? Like we can't do any of we can't expand Social Security, we can't provide health care. Like they're gonna go back to their old tropes.
Right. Right.
Like you're already seeing it. It's happening right in front of your eyes. Okay? Right? The people who aren't watching and aren't paying attention, right? Like I'm sorry, but it's happening right in front of your eyes. Okay? And this is why it's important on a local level to get people in office who aren't just going to spend your money on parties and are going to invest in the infrastructure of your community.
Yeah, because all politics is local. We've said that here before. And everything works from the ground up. So what you do in your local community. So watching, everybody wants to look at Washington, but those people, a lot of them started right in your backyard. And so you want to put the right people in place on the ground because those are the people that are going to ensure that the shit that's going on in DC doesn't adversely impact your community. That's ultimately, where we're going with this. I had another comment, but yes, Marty, it is Free entertainment. I think, well, what's your point? Everybody is hearing about Hakeem Jeffries meeting with Jared Kushner. And this we don't know. I don't know how long ago it was, but the New York Times
Just yesterday.
reported it was reported, but it happened. I don't know how long ago. It's not really saying, but relatively recently that he met with him, and Hakeem had a little speech he gave because everybody's talking about it and everybody's questioning it, and he said, basically, he said Jared Kushner wanted to have a meeting so we could talk about the affordability crisis. What? Give it. I'm sorry. When did Jared Kushner get elected to be able to be involved in deciding affordability issues and or appointed for that matter? What the fuck are you meeting with him? Come on, we know that's a crock of shit,
Listen,
right?
listen, listen. I have never seen a guy, right, like try to convince his own base who has been screaming about affordability crisis, right? Trying to convince them that he understands the affordability crisis, right? Like I he said it so many times. He said the affordability crisis so many times, right? And I can tell you 100% that that man does not give a shit about affordability or understands what the crisis actually is.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah,
There's absolutely nothing that I took away from that that made me believe, right, that he gave a shit about anybody in the Democratic Party, gave a shit about anybody other than his own pocket. That's all I got to say about that.
yeah,
That man has got to go. That man has
yes,
got to go.
yes,
Got to
yes.
go.
Because if you watch our latest episode, I think it was the latest episode where I brought up that he is a recipient of APAC. It's about $1.5 million as of early July, but Marty did did a deep dive just a couple of days ago and said that he's also a recipient of corporate money from um, the medical, from the insurance. He gets a lot of
Yeah.
money from insurance companies, and it actually, I think the number, Marty, maybe you can tell me. I think it exceeded like $2 million. So he's received millions of dollars from corporate PACs as well as APAC, and so that's the reason why he's meeting with Jared Kushner, right?
All right.
Jared Kushner, yeah,
So let's everybody understand how politics actually works, right? Rather than this idea of what illusion everybody thinks they have of how politics works. Again, we live in a capitalist society. Everything, everything can be bought and sold, including votes. Okay?
yes,
Jeffries, how did he become speaker? Or how did he become the minority leader? Well, he raised money and then he got money to be able to dole out to other politicians within the caucus, okay, who were going to vote for him to be leader, okay? Everything is about money. All these guys have to raise money. Even the Democrats in red states, they have to have money. Nobody gives money to the DCCC, right? All the money gets given to Hakeem Jeffries, who then gets to dole it out like for votes for what he wants. So this idea that somehow he doesn't control the caucus or he can't control his members, he controls his members because all the money controls all the members. Okay? That's just the way it is, right? The only way you avoid that happening is somebody like AOC, right? When she first got in office, how did she maintain her integrity? She didn't take the meeting, she didn't take the money because she didn't need it, because she had a lot of people donating to her campaign,
yeah,
right? Well, you could either try to get a large populace to donate to your campaign, which is not easy for people to go out and take money out of their own pockets and give. I know this. I tried raising money for my campaign. It doesn't work, right? Unless you have somebody willing to drop a lot of money on you, right? Either a business or a large donor in your area who believes in you, who wants to donate money to you. Okay.
Right.
That's the way it works,
But it's
right?
always a quid
And
pro quo in that, yeah, you want something in
you're getting
return.
something, right? You want something in return. That's how politics works. You give something, you get something in return. That is capitalism. Everybody loves capitalism in this country, but when you point it out to them, they get angry that their politicians are getting bought, right? That's why I said our politicians should wear patches like NASCAR. At
Yeah,
least
yeah,
then we know who the fuck owns them.
yeah. All of their all their sponsors. Hakeem Jeffries sponsored by APAC and United Healthcare and whoever else. So, but folks, that's the fight. But we still have to keep fighting. We still have to keep fighting because one thing's for sure that the regime is failing in a lot of different ways. Um, they keep stumbling, and Trump keeps putting his foot in his mouth. Just look at Canada.
But I
Canada's
think it's
response.
just it's all levels of government. It's
Yeah.
all levels of government. If you like, you need people with integrity in those jobs, right? You need people who aren't going to be, who are going to look at things from a different perspective, right? And say, and have a plan in place where things might look good, where things would go, who are going to interact with their community, maybe hold spill the tea events, like our current supervisor does, right? That's what you need. You need people who are going to engage with the community, okay?
Yes.
And who are going to answer questions in front of large groups so that everybody can hear what they say and be willing to engage in a community conversation like our current supervisor does, right? His challenger refuses to do that, refuses to debate, refuses to answer questions, refuses to do anything, right? And we see this. The Republican Party does this very well, right? Like when when they don't want to have a debate, they just say no, we're not going to debate. Like I think Mike Rogers said he's not debating El Sayed. You know, it just goes to show you, like, people, we have to have those debates. We have to have people accountable. The only way people are going to be held accountable is if they go in front of large groups and they're willing to answer questions.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what so you got to it's up to us really to push our candidates and it seems like I don't know her base doesn't seem to want. I don't see any of them at least on her on posts saying, "Hey, the supervisor wants to debate you. Are you going to do it?" Like if you happen to be a Jill supporter watching this, ask her. Ask her if she's willing to debate. Do you
It's
want to
it's
see them debate? I do.
it's partisan politics in this, in every community. We again, it's the idea, getting right back to where I was at the beginning. This idea, people don't know their neighbors. People are entrenched. People, I could tell you, they spread tons of rumors about me, none of which were true.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know.
But I would go to people's houses and all of a sudden it was like I would be confronted, and it wasn't like they asked me questions. It wasn't like it was like a good conversation or like whatever. It was, get off my doorstep, and then they would like spout some like bullshit, because people don't want to get to know you. People don't care. People are happy with their judgment, and they're happy to sit in their homes and watch their TV and not have to interact with anybody outside their home.
Right. Right.
You
Folks,
know,
we gotta get out. I mean, I will say this, I always like to go to the spill the tea events because it's a great way to meet other people that show up there. There's a great way. And look, here's some ideas for community stuff. I don't know if anybody knows this, but over what is that road where you remember where the other Bank of America was on 211? It's now an Orange
yes,
Bank now. Okay, that side road that runs into, I think it's runs into Milo or something. Dundee runs into Dundee. There's a corner there.
Dundee, yeah.
I didn't know this. There is a community garden. It's a
Yes.
great way. There's a community garden you can plant. Okay, where it's late in the season, but it's another way, especially now that we're having issues with food here. Um, that's a great way to get to know people. Anybody who wants to, maybe there's a way to organize an indoor hydroponic garden so that we can let starve over the winter when we run out of meat and stuff. But
Who helped start the community garden in the town of Waco, by the way?
I don't know. You? Did you do that? Did you
Yeah,
really?
that was me.
I
We
that
went to a
that
Girl Scout.
and it's still there. It's still there today. So yeah, a community garden. Let me see. Marty's got a little statement here. A little help from AI. We can make Mr. Jeffries a nice sports coat with those patches. Yeah. That's actually that. You know what? That's actually a good idea. That's a good idea. See,
What it comes down to is we have a lot of money in politics, okay? And in our society, everything can be bought and sold. And if you think that your politician can't be bought and sold, then you're kidding yourself. You know, it's about what you believe in. I can say firsthand, like Frank believes right in what he's doing, and he believes it's the right thing. Okay, his opponent, you know, was a Democrat and is now a Republican to
that was
run
as
for
of
the seat.
April. She
Right.
changed in April.
Right. So again, it's integrity and conviction and ability to believe in what you believe, you know, and going around, listen, I'm no longer a Democrat, but I was a former Democrat, right? There would never be a time that I would be promoting for governor Bruce Blankman. And I don't like Governor Hochul. Like everybody who knows me knows I hate Governor Hochul, right? But I would never promote Bruce Blankman. I mean, that man is literally like running around the state saying we need to put up data centers, we need to build nuclear, and ice should be everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's what she's running with. And I gotta ask, you know, what I have no idea what she believes in. No idea.
Yeah. Yeah, he
You
wants
know,
to take all these empty warehouses that are popping up and turn them into detention centers. Like how many we don't need these many. We got 75,000 people in detention right now, just sitting there for months. So,
but
yeah,
I'm just saying it, like, just some of the things this community doesn't want, right? Like they've emphatically stated that they don't want those things in this community, right? And she's putting up signs around town for the guy that wants the things that we don't want in this community,
there you go.
right? So and then turning around and saying the opposite of the person she's supporting, right?
Yep, they you're absolutely right. Blakeman signs are going right up. Yeah, well, they're together, um,
Right.
promoting them
They're
all
running
together.
together. They're
They're
running
running
together. They're running
yeah,
the same campaign, right? So
of
as I
the
said, we
campaign
have to
of rounding
protect,
up your neighbors.
right? And you got to remember something too, right? Blankman also is in favor of flock, you know. So it's like you there are tough questions that need to be asked that she's not asking and that people aren't asking her because for whatever reason, right? I mean, they're Republicans, that's what they do. We have to ask those
That's the
questions and we
road.
have to make sure that that we hold her accountable for that, for exactly that. And, if that means her coming on the show and answering those questions, great. If that means going to, doing a debate against Frank, even better, because that's what she should do.
Yes. Yep. So we're going to stick to our guns on pushing for debates. She's been invited, put a comment below. Let us know, or reach out to us on the Facebook page about coming on the show. Answer these questions. We've got a lot of questions. Damn. Wow, we covered a lot today. We covered a lot of different things. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we're already pushing to an hour and 20 minutes here, so we're gonna wind up. Any final thoughts? Any questions from you have been, first of all, I want to say one thing. We have built a following of a lot of people that have joined us each Tuesday now to watch us and talk to us and engage with us. And I can't thank you guys enough for your support. It truly means so much. You guys are the absolute best. And it means so much to us because we've been doing this for a year, and we're a small channel, and YouTube is making things tougher for us, but you guys standing by us and just engaging and watching us and supporting us, it just means so much. Um and it makes it all the more enjoyable. It's the reason why the lives are so much fun, because we get to really communicate and hear what you have to say. um and yeah, by the way, Fran has you said, yeah, you're absolutely right. That's one of the things we need to overturn. We need to fight to get rid of, because then everything can get better when we don't have people looking at their wallets instead of looking at their constituents. That's what I got to say about that. All right. Um,
I'm with Denise. That's what I got to
oh,
say about that.
oh, and there's Kristen. Hey, Kristen. Kristen busy with campaign stuff. Yeah, we had quite the show here, and there's it'll be up if you join late. This'll go up on the live section of our channel, and usually I will sometimes go back and kind of edit it a little bit and post it on the regular video portion of the TOWTalk podcast channel as well. And one little secret thing here that I didn't mention early on, I was able to stream this to our sister channel, The Daily Gripe. I didn't even know you could go to two YouTube channels at the same time. So anybody from The Daily Gripe who's kind of wandered in, what is this? Welcome if you did, and you might see it below. That The Daily Gripe is also there. So be sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to it, because I've got some videos coming up in the next day or so that I'm going to be posting. All
And if
right.
you have questions, comments, anything you would like us to discuss, any topics that maybe we haven't touched on that you're interested in, whatever it is, please feel free to reach out to us, message us. We would love to hear from you. As I said, we want to be as open as possible. And as Denise said, we love you guys. We want to discuss what you are interested in.
Yes.
I mean, obviously you're tuning in and you're interested, but if there are topics that you think, around the area, around Orange County or around New York, that you feel you want us to get more in depth on, or discuss, please let us know. We would be happy to address those issues and try to do research, and
Yeah.
get you as much information as possible.
Yes, absolutely. That's absolutely. So yeah. Oh, and Kristen. Wait, debates. Wait, Kristen, you're saying debates? Are we?
Let me see. Oh,
Yeah. Does that mean we're getting debates? Or are you
no,
just
she's
still
saying
want to?
that she's commenting because she's
I'm
listening to
being
what we said
hopeful.
5 minutes ago. She's listening to what we said 5 minutes ago
Oh, that's
about
right.
debate. That's why.
Yeah.
There's a
No.
delay.
Yeah, the delay. I always forget the delay. Yeah. No, she doesn't. She doesn't. She just wants to deceptively clip videos and post things about that was said months ago, that with issues that have already been resolved. Um, so All right. I think we're going to wind up here, folks. Thanks so much. If you stuck here to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments and leave us a comment of 7 words or more um, on the regular recorded version to let us know what you think. And like, share, subscribe, and get to know the Daily Gripe as well. And we will see you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. for sure. And I'll be posting a lot of content in between. All right, guys. We love you. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Have a good night. Be safe, and we will see you soon. Take care.
Peace out.